So drawing from course materials in the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I defined totalitarian, Jesus. Drawing from course materials in the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I defined totalitarianism as a system of centralized power that exercises inescapable control over private, public, informational, and cultural areas of life. When considering the prompt for this assignment, I was most interested in exploring how religious structures can be totalitarian and how belief can be manipulated into justification for absolute control over others, and I decided to research the structures of American megachurches. A megachurch is loosely defined as a church with an unusually large congregation, but in the US, the term conjures up images of large auditoriums, brick buildings, and evangelical pastors in blue jeans giving sermons with a projector behind them. These churches are everywhere in the US, but hold particular influence in suburbs in southern and midwestern US. Most megachurches are structured in a similar way. They have congregations of around 10 to 20,000, with a very small few who have power in the church and make executive decisions on behalf of the congregation. In an article by Dallas News, David Eagle, a research associate at Duke Divinity School, stated that centralized power is a core facet of a megachurch. Pastors are very powerful people that have lots of connections. When that much power gets concentrated, bad things happen. In recent years, many abuse and embezzlement scandals have arisen from these churches. In reading articles about these scandals, I've learned that these churches are often set up in a way that purposefully consolidates information and power, aligning with my definition of totalitarianism. In these churches, there's no such thing as an entirely private realm. All that a person does is subject to scrutiny and must adhere to the standards of the congregation. In an article from the Washingtonian about a Maryland megachurch and a sex abuse scandal, the author describes the church's structure as follows. Questioning leaders was not always tolerated. It meant you weren't willing to submit to spiritual authority. Members were held accountable for virtually all areas of their lives. This invasion of the private sphere by a controlling power can be seen not just in religious structures, but governmental ones as well. In Laszlo Kurdi's How Can I Be a Human Being?, he describes a similar situation in which Hungary's government controlled not just public areas of life, but the popular music industry as well, sanitizing and producing clean, non-agitating music for the masses. This control of the private sphere is a distinct feature of a totalitarian system, be it a megachurch or a nation. In addition, another facet of totalitarianism is its inescapable nature. The people living under these structures are unable to oppose them. Many megachurches require their members to sign binding documents when they join the congregation. According to the New York Times, these agreements prohibit members from suing the church and instead require mediation and then binding arbitration, legal processes that often happen in secret. These clauses are placed in member agreements in order to preserve the church's power, should detrimental circumstances, in this situation another sexual abuse case, arise. This fail-safe method of ensuring power remains in the hands of the few is also presented in the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. In this film, the patients at the hospital attempt to democratically vote in order to change a rule so they can watch a baseball game. Despite voting and receiving the majority in the vote, Nurse Ratched shuts them down and refuses to play the game on TV. Though they followed the rules and attempted to make their voices heard, in the end it didn't matter because Ratched did not intend to cede power. As Miss Bragg of the New York Times article stated, "It's a terribly sad joke. We followed the rules, we followed the bylaws. We have no clue where to go from here." Finally, totalitarianism can be spotted by the control of information from the powers within the structure. I read 3 separate articles detailing different abuse scandals in different megachurches across different places in the country. In all 3 articles, a common thread was the censored and sanitized versions of the truth that the church presented when pressed to give statements on the scandals that happened under their roofs. When pressed, these churches deflected and insisted they were in the right. Because the members of their congregation are taught not to question their leaders, it makes it easy for the church powers to present only their version of events, regardless of whether or not there's truth to it. I found this similar to the way Putin is described in Angela Stent's article. When describing the invasion of Crimea and Donbass, Stent states that the Russians sought to mask the reality of what was happening. When attempting to annex the Donbass region, the Russian government poured troops, funding, ammunition, heavy arms, and other aid across their Ukrainian border, all the while denying that they were there. In Putin's Russia, the truth is controlled by the concentrated power at the top. American megachurches operate with the same structure. I do believe that totalitarianism is a useful analytic. as it allows us to consider the ways power permeates spheres of life, beyond just governmental or political. In totalitarian structures, we see how cultures of fear and authority breed pain, mistrust, and abuse on every level. When thinking of Central and European history, I do think that the term is useful because it acknowledges that the absolute nature of a power's control over a people. With this term, we are able to think critically about how each person and each aspect of life under a totalitarian regime is affected.